Εξομολογήστε το Κύριο διαγραφός, αλληλούια, ότι στον αιώνα το έλεος αυτού, αλληλούια.
Today I'd like to talk about the fact that we're having one of the most democratic years in the history of democracy. We've got elections going off all over the place. We've got elections going off in America, we've got elections going off in Europe, in France, and we've got elections going off in the UK. We've got one of the biggest exercises in democracy occurring in India. Now, one of the wonderful things about democracy, something that I don't think we extol enough or celebrate enough, is that it gives us the opportunity to change government without the use of arms, without the use of war. And so, whenever we practice democracy, we should take it seriously, because democracies that aren't taken seriously cease to function well. And in the West at the moment, we have the leaders of the free world, in quote marks, America, having to choose between a narcissist and a senile. What has happened to American politics that these are the best two candidates that the United States of America can produce? Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, if I was an American and if I was an American Democrat who cared about the USA and who cared about the democratic process in the USA, Biden would have to be replaced. He would have to be replaced by a candidate who is mentally and physically able to do the job if elected. Joe Biden could barely survive a 90-minute debate against Donald Trump. How is he going to run the world's most powerful nation on earth for 4 years when he can't survive a debate of 90 minutes without gaffing and messing up? Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, Western democracies are in a malaise. We're in trouble in the West because our democratic systems are no longer functioning as they should. In the UK, we have a bi-party system which just swaps over and has swapped over between Labour and the Conservatives for the last 100 years. This kind of democracy is failing to represent us and our interests. The question of mass uncontrolled immigration is not being dealt with by our political elite. The failure of multiculturalism is not being dealt with by our political elite. The rising social tensions we see in our society are not being dealt with by our political elite. And the reason for that is that our political elite has bought into the same ideology. They have filled out the horizons of their worldview. They have no more solutions to offer because their worldview does not allow them the scope in terms of their beliefs or values to deal with the problems that we face in the West. That is why both Labour and Conservative have failed to control the southern border of England. We are bought into a court system, a legal system, ladies and gentlemen, with the European Court of Human Rights that has recently made it illegal to point out that Mohammed was a paedophile. And we have bought into this legal court system as a ruling court over our society, ladies and gentlemen. Just ignore the troll, don't give him the attention he's looking for, because if he knows if he stands anywhere else, everyone would ignore him. So the best thing you can do is just ignore him now. Don't give him the attention that he's looking for, ladies and gentlemen. And I would invite you to move closer if you're struggling to hear me. Ladies and gentlemen, be honest with me now. Who of you are going to vote Labour? Put your hand up. One person. Who of you are going to vote Conservative? Put your hand up. Who of you are going to vote Reform? Put your hand up. Now notice, ladies and gentlemen, notice how many hands were raised when you put your hand up for Reform. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we should ask serious questions, ladies and gentlemen, about why Channel 4 News tried recently to frame the Reform Party by employing an actor who then was just incidentally matched up with an undercover reporter so that that undercover reporter could capture the actor making blatantly racist statements. A man on whose own website states that he is well spoken, but when he turned up to the brother, you're just feeding him his energy. Please just ignore him. Please just ignore him and stop shouting in people's ears, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on Clacton-on-Sea, that actor turned up in front of Nigel Farage and was pretending to speak like some Cockney. All right, governor, I'm here to help. But on his own website that advertises his acting, he says that he's well spoken. He speaks with a plum, the kind of way that I speak, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't sound like no Cockney. But, ladies and gentlemen, Channel 4 tried to do a stitch-up job to influence your vote. We have a problem with our democracy in the West, because our democracy is a two-party system that does not represent the votes of the people. Your votes will not be represented under the first-past-the-post system. And we must fight, ladies and gentlemen, to change that voting system so that all of our votes count. Furthermore, there should be an inquiry as to why Channel 4, a body receiving public money, attempted to create artificial political propaganda to skew the votes of naive voters, ladies and gentlemen. And amazingly, notice how all the media jumped on the story, but they haven't jumped on the expose of the story. So all the major media outlets were all there to cover the racist stage propaganda, but when that was exposed as a stitch-up, the BBC, the Guardian, the Times Radio, all fell silent about it. It dropped off the news agenda. How many of you are Christians? Put your hand up. Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you that the Reform Party offers nothing to us as Christians. They are not pro-life, they are not pro-family, they are not pro-church, they are not pro-gospel. Ladies and gentlemen, as Christians, there are Christian political parties you can vote for, like the Christian People's Alliance. We as Christians, if we want our vote to be heard. Brother, just ignore him. Just ignore him. He's feeding on your energy. He's feeding on your energy. If you want to talk to him, take him over there. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Christians, we have to build our own political institutions to represent our worldview as Christians, our values, our beliefs. You all heard it reported in the media. How many of you heard about the movement to build the Muslim vote? How many of you heard about that? Well, brothers and sisters, suck it up. That's what a democracy is. We shouldn't be complaining that the Muslims are wanting to build a Muslim vote. We instead should be building a Christian vote so that there is a Christian bloc vote to be won or lost by the manifestos given by our political parties. Only then will Christian concerns for the persecuted church be heard. Only then will Christian concerns for the family be heard. Only then will Christian concerns about abortion be heard. When we stop voting for liberal secular parties and we stop voting en masse for Christian parties and getting involved in Christian parties. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why the voice of the church is not heard is because the church does not speak with one voice. And it will not speak with one voice until we establish a Christian political party and support it and join it. And that party already exists. It is the Christian People's Alliance. And I invite you to get involved with them. I invite you to vote for them. I invite you to join them. Donate to them. Get involved in building a Christian politic in this land. One final point before I take questions. Every political issue that we face in the United Kingdom at this moment somehow interfaces with the destruction and the degradation of the family. The reason why we have rising youth crime in East London is because of the breakdown of the family. The reason why the elites have bought into mass immigration uncontrolled is because families are not having children. The reason why there is a pensions crisis is because we are not having the children to replace our families. The reason why there are bed blockers in the NHS is because children are either not there to look after elders or they are there but choose not to. The reason why we have a rise in mental health problems in the UK is the breakdown of the family. The family is the first bank account, the first line of welfare, the first line of health care, the first line of mental health provision, the first line of welfare support, the first line of dealing with criminality. But how many times have you seen a Labour politician or a Conservative politician talk about supporting or helping the family? Never. Why? Because liberalism is about individualism. And individualism is about you can make up whatever family you want, ladies and gentlemen. We have to put supporting the family at the very of repairing our society.